Hello and welcome to the Greatest Games podcast, brought to you by 816 Basketball. I'm one of your hosts, Brian Rosefield, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris de Blasio.
Thank you, Brian, as always, and welcome to the Greatest Games podcast, where this is a chance for us to catch up with basketball coaches from around the country and have them tell us about their greatest games. Again, we put no limits on them. It could be their time as a head coach, an assistant coach, could be a win, a loss, a championship game, just whatever game they consider to be their greatest game.
So, Chris, this is another special episode for me and one that's close to home. We have Terrence Gibson here with us, who is the head girls basketball coach at Ridgeview High School in Columbia, South Carolina. He just finished his 14th year, and we got him pulled away from the grill long enough to be able to record a podcast with us. Super excited to have you here, Terrence. What's the last thing that you've had on the grill?
Steak. I had a steak. We grilled a steak, and we had ribs and all that other stuff like that. We cooking all the time, and so had a steak on the grill. That was the last thing. That was juicy and good too.
I'm excited that you know where I live, so you can drop those by next time you got some things on the grill. I'm excited about that. Thank you so much.
I was we were talking before the recording, and not only has Terrence been specializing on the grill, but apparently he's learning a lot by homeschooling his son. Terrence is learning a lot of new things that apparently he didn't learn in high school.
Exactly. I didn't realize what education in elementary school really means. I didn't realize that that they do so much science. I realized they do so much social studies, and I didn't realize math changed. I thought the truest thing in the world was numbers until I started teaching elementary math. Box multiplication, round and off multiplication, round and off division. Never heard of that before until this year.
I'll tell you what, we think we have coming up here soon a Ridgeview Coaches Zoom, so maybe we can set you up and have you teach us how to do some box math, or you just run us through whatever we need to know, whatever we need to be caught up with in the world of elementary education.
Yeah, I will do that, but I made the worst teacher in the world because I'm still learning myself. I can have TJ come up there and teach you.
We'll take it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Again, as Brian said, Coach just finished his 14th year at Ridgeview as the girls' head basketball coach. But Coach Gibson, why don't you take us through your playing career and your coaching career and how you got to where you are today?
Okay. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I played high school ball at Keenan HS for a coach named Coach Ben Trapp. Then I had to go to junior college for a little bit for 2 years in California. And then I earned a scholarship out to Virginia Commonwealth University after my 2 years up at in California. Then I played 2 years in Virginia Commonwealth, and then I started traveling all over the world playing professional. I had a couple of trials. I was down in the Houston Rockets trials for a little bit. I was down in Atlanta Magic trials for a little bit, and I did well, extremely well. And there's a lot of politics into, getting a thing, but I wasn't fortunate enough to get on one of those teams. But I played overseas. I played in Canada. I played in Turkey. I played in Hungary. I played in South America for a little bit. But I played all over the United States. I think I lived in every city in the United States playing some kind of professional ball. And then after that, on my off season, I was teaching and coaching a alternative school basketball program as a youth outreach program for the kids, so they can have something to do. Then when I started coaching that, I realized I love coaching. We did extremely well in the city and had a chance to go play for the community state championship, or it was a state championship for all the community parks. And we was the only team that was from alternative school that was represented in that program, and I felt comfortable. And then I moved back to South Carolina to take care of my grandfather, and then I ended up at Ridgeview, helping a coach named Coach Vince Laurie. And then when I started helping Coach Vince Laurie, Combs came over. Then when Combs came over, we had a coach named Ralph Bertan. He left the girls program. Then they said there's opportunity open for the girls program, and I took that, and I've been there ever since.
And we were joking before we hit record here that, I knew John Combs when I was at the University of South Carolina, and he hired me to be his JV coach at Ridgeview. But the real reality is that the real reason that I'm at Ridgeview is because you moved from JV boys over to take the varsity girls job at Oxford. I didn't meet you until I got there, but it's been a real neat journey to watch you grow as a coach, and now to be your athletic director at Ridgeview. It's been fantastic. You've been super successful, putting girls in college, making them playoffs, deep runs in the playoffs every year. So you've done a fantastic job, and it's a real pleasure to work with you for sure.
Yeah, same here. I seen you grow as an athletic director. I see how you took this program and hired very good coaches, and you're very supportive of all the programs. And that's what a lot of times, I hear a lot of things, when you go to different places and you hear about the AD don't care so much about either they football coaches or they boys coaches or they baseball coaches. I can say our AD is about all the sports coaches. He takes just as much interest as our state championship boys or our very dominant football teams, as well as our very good girls basketball team. He takes much interest in our tennis team, our baseball team, our softball team, our track team. There's no sport at our school that doesn't get all in from Coach Rosefield. I do appreciate that because I don't know they know it, but I know it talking to other people how hard it is to have a good athletic director that cares about each individual sport, the revenue sports and the non-revenue sports. And I really appreciate that about you.
You're a good man. Thank you for that.
Look at that. You got Rosefield blushing. Coach, just a quick question. When you were at VCU, did you play for Sonny Smith or Mac McCarthy? Who did you play for?
I played for Sonny Smith.
Okay.
We had a very good team, and we was one of those. My junior year, we was one of those teams that was on the bubble, and the NCAA. Where everybody had us playing against the Fab Five, and I was all ready to play against Michigan that year. We was because we had a rough season that year because in the middle of the season we had injuries that affected us in the playoff. We beat Louisville, but we lost to Southern Miss, and that Southern Miss loss was a bad loss, and we lost to Tulane. And I can't tell you. I mean, to be honest, I don't know who was the scheduler, but we played in New Orleans. Stayed the night in New Orleans and went to play Southern Miss.
Ooh.
Doing Mardi Gras. So how you think we did against Southern Miss? So we ended up losing those 2 games in a row. And then when it came down to the NCAA tournament, it came down between us and Tulane. Because we lost it, we was tied for second place in our division. We got the second seed because we beat Louisville that year. And then we made to the conference championship, lost to Louisville in the championship game. They ended up taking Tulane because the game before the Metro tournament started, our star player got hurt, Kendrick Warren, and he got hurt. Tulane still had a star player, and they figured that since they had this is what our coach told, since they had their players, they were full healthy, they feel like they would made a better run in the NCAA tournament than us. Mm-hmm. So we got pushed out.
Wow.
But we ended up going to the NIT, played a couple of games, and ended up losing before we had a chance to go to New York.
So you played for Sonny Smith, a great college basketball coach, was at Auburn when Charles Barkley was there. And I know at VCU, the locker room or the video room, and I know Barkley gave them a bunch of money at one point when Sonny Smith was there to redo that room. And it's really weird. People go to VCU, Rose. I don't know if you've ever been to the arena there, and you see a Charles Barkley room. And people are like, well, why is there a Charles Barkley room at VCU? Like, that doesn't – but it's because Sonny Smith, his college coach, then went to coach at VCU.
Yeah, Sonny Smith Charles Barkley used to come up there and ball with us a couple of times, and he is a character. Charles Barkley come up there, but, the basketball's played different than it is now. He ain't really cared that we was college kids, and he was he was knocking us around like our name was Charles Oakley or something like that. It's like, man, Barkley, calm down. But, Barkley is a character. Barkley is everything you see on TV. Barkley is in real life. He say what he say. Barkley is a very good person. But he is funny. He is funny.
Yeah, been fortunate to be around him a couple times at Final Fours, and he is genuine a guy as you really will come across. It seems like he is who he is, and everybody loves him, and he just enjoying life. And
exactly. He ain't trying to hurt anybody. He ain't trying to he just says he is what he is. That's the best way to say it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, Terrence, let's kind of move into a little bit of Q&A, so some quick questions and answers here. And so, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about was if you could tell us the story about your first technical foul. I know it's going to be hard to believe that you've gotten a technical foul, but do you remember the story, or do you have a memorable technical foul that you could tell us about?
That's kind of hard because, I remember I kind of, my first technical foul, I was yelling. I felt like because this coach was established and I was a new coach on the block, I felt like, I'm getting the short end of the stick. So I told them, in so many words is if you close your eyes, could you call a better game than you call? So she took it kind of, she got kind of mad at me. I said, she got kind of mad and teched me down. I said, why you tech me? And she said, I don't want to hear no more out of you, coach. And so, I'm from Columbia. And so I know a lot of referees, away from being a referee. And so the referee came over there and said, coach, I'm telling you this for your own good. It's a lot of money if I give you another tech, if you don't know. And he said, so I advise you to sit down right now before we have to end up giving you another tech. And so, and I remember that because I thought I didn't say anything wrong because I just felt like, if she closed her eyes, she couldn't tell what team was she calling for. And so, because I thought she was doing a terrible job, but, she thinks she was doing a great job. So I got my tech that day.
That is I think that's a way you're always going to get a tech. If you ask the coach or the ref if they close their eyes, could they call a better game? That's for sure.
So,
Coach, talk about the transition. It's always an interesting transition for a guys coach to go to become a girls coach and what that was like and just the difference and things you had to adjust and, just that change from becoming a boys coach to a girls coach.
It's funny. The biggest difference in coaching between girls and boys is that more boys in general have dreams of going further than, every boy think they're going to be the next LeBron James. Every girl don't think they're going to be the next Maya Moore. And the biggest adjustment is that you have a whole team, like if they're the best player, if you have a player on the boys team that's the very best player, but, everybody recognizes that's the best player. Very few people would challenge that best player. But the second, third, and fourth best player, everybody's always challenging. On the girls' side, no, they are the best player. The second and third best player, the girls don't challenge them as much. And I think, as the girls' game keep getting expanding, I think that becoming more of a trend in girls. Like girls is not going to say, okay, she's the best player, so I'm not going to compete against her. And that's the main thing. It's just that coaching girls and boys, it's the same thing. Girls is very passionate about winning. They will listen to you if they trust you. With coaching boys, if they trust you, they will listen to you too. And that's the main thing because everybody wants to get better. Everybody enjoys winning. But the main thing is you have more boys that is dreaming of playing further than their career or further than their career through basketball. As with girls, they'll say, okay, if I get a scholarship, that'd be great, but I can get me an academic scholarship, or I can do this, or I can do that. As boys, it's like I'm all in. I want to play for Duke. Girls say, man, I'm okay with playing with, not playing college ball at all. And you run to that more than you run with girls. But as far as the attitudes and anything like that, when you have a good girls team that listen to you, they'll compete they'll do anything. That's the same thing with boys. If you have a good boys team that listen to you, you can do most anything. The only thing is, if you call a play, the end result might be different. You might get a dunk or a spectacular move. As with a girl who's not as athletic, you still get the same 2 points, but it won't just be as flamboyant as the boys would be flying through the air. But coaching girls is an eye-opening, and a point that you might have to deal with more holding grudges than boys. But when you have the right team, they don't hold grudges that long. Because one year I had a team that every day they fought each other. But when they got on the court, they was the best team you can ever watch it play. Off the court, they would fight each other. They had another team, they get mad at each other off the court. They come on the court and they're still holding grudges from what happened off the court. And, and that's the biggest thing. You don't see that in boys as much. But girls, they tend to hold on to things more. But that's not all girls. I guess it's the same thing with some boys too, because I coach a boys team. I don't want to say names and stuff, but when one of my teams I coached JV, I had a 9th grade on my JV team, clearly the best player. Everyone on our team hated him because he was our best player. And they did. And, and they used to try to sabotage him and things of that nature, and he had to rise above that. And he eventually, and he did, of course, because, like I said, cream always rises to the top.
And he went on to be a very successful podcast host, and his name is Chris de Blasio. I'm just kidding. That's not true. That's not true at all. But, Terrence, I get the pleasure to work around you every day and look at the relationships that you build with girls. And, the winning for you, it takes care of itself. I know you put in more work than tons of coaches in the country. You're always in the gym with the girls whenever you can be. Great skill development. Girls come to your program. They get better and better and better every year. And you see that with how many kids that you send to college and play at the next level. But what do you really see your role as being as a high school coach? What's your true role? What are you really trying to accomplish as a high school coach?
I remember someone was telling me one time when we were talking about it's my job to get you from transition. I'm the transition person from transition to A to transition to B. I'm the person in the middle. I don't know if you remember the Matrix or anything like that, and they was in the subway or something like that, and they just call it a halfway point. So you're not necessarily the end result, but you're not necessarily the beginning. A lot of kids that we get to come to our school, they come from good parents. They have good parents. They have dreams. They have hopes and aspirations and stuff like that. And so I try to be a voice to them I try to be a voice for the parents at the school. What the right things to do, what's the right attitude to have towards school, what to have the right attitude towards friends, what you consider a friend, what you don't consider a friend, who you hang with, how you set your examples. Now, in doing that, I know this is only for 4 years. So if my job is to teach you those things, because when you go off to college, you got to have a foundation to deal with all the other things that come with you in life. Because when you go in college, you're opening yourself to a lot of different things. And if you're not strong into what you believe in, you're going to fall for anything. So I try to be that transitioning person from middle school in that young adult age to adulthood as you go into your dreams and stuff like that. And so, start now, your 9th grade year, what you want to do, where you want to be, how you going to get there, who are you going to be with, where you going to, these people right now is for 4 years. I've been out of high school since 1990. I've been out of high school longer than I've been in high school. I've been out of high school longer than I, been in school. And so you got 4 years to try to figure this out and move on with your life. So I try to be that transition person as far as, okay, if you want to play basketball, you got to be in. You got to be dedicated to your books. You got to be dedicated to your eating habits. You got to be dedicated to your training. You got to be dedicated to that. Well, I like basketball, but I really don't. Okay, you still got to be dedicated to your books. You got to be dedicated to your character, because your character carries you further along than anything else. You can be the smartest one, but you got bad character, people are not going to be around you. You can be the best basketball player. You got bad character, people are not going to be around you. And so I just try to be that transition person from this point to that point, because I know my time with you is very short. And then when you go on with your life, it's good to hear from you. I talk to you as much as I can, but you have to deal with life every day like we all do. And that's what I see myself as.
That's a tremendous answer. That was an unbelievable answer, Terrence. I like the way you used the term transition, and that's what it is. It's the transition from you. It's the transition to you becoming your own really autonomous person, not breaking away from your parents, but you've got to grow up, and that's young adulthood. And
yes.
I mean, that's exactly what the mission of every high school coach should be. Brian, I don't know if you agree as an athletic director, but I think you do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the reasons, one of the about 1,113 reasons that I love Terrence Gibson. It was somewhat of a leading question for me, because I do know the true extent of what he does as a coach on the floor, but more than that, just as a mentor off the floor. He's just a incredible rock in the Ridgeview community, Northeast Columbia community, and Columbia basketball community in general. And just those girls are very, very lucky to have him.
Now you got me at blushing. I'm turning red now.
All right, Coach. As you know, the name of the podcast is The Greatest Games.
Yes.
So why don't you take us through your greatest game as a coach? And we could get to more, but try to take us through what you think is the greatest game. And it doesn't have to be that you coach great, but just a really memorable, great game that you were a part of. Give us as much detail as you want, and we'll have some follow-up questions as we hear the story.
I mean, the greatest games I've been in is we had a very good team, and we went down to Greenville. And the year before, I'm trying to get a little backstory to the year before, we went down to Spartanburg and we played this girl down there. And, you know, I pride myself on our defense. You know, we help each other. We try to get in position to help, take charges, close out, play tough man-to-man. We play full court. We try to speed you up. We try to speed you up and play you out of control. So that's my philosophy. It's like organized chaos. We get you playing chaotic, but we're going to play organized. And we played this one girl. And the more pressure we put on her, the more relaxed she became. And she put 45 on us. And oh yes, this girl was every bit the truth. And I had this one girl that was like one of the best defenders in the state, guarded some of the best players you can think of on the AU circuit and on the high school circuit. If there was any great player on the other team, you say, you go get her, she touched the ball, you got her, you don't let her catch it. Well, she guarded this girl, and this girl put her on the butt a couple of times. And so that's the year before. So we lost in the second round the year before. So we come back with the whole team. You know, we had a great team. And so we started the playoffs. The first round matchup, we played a very solid team. And then the second round matchup, we played that girl that gave us 45. So we knew what was going into, and we held her down to 22. And we won. And then we had to go to the third round. Now, everybody we playing against, we do your scouting report and all the stuff like that. Everybody we played since that, we said, okay, then we can beat them. We know they're not as athletic as us. They're not as fast as us. They don't have as many guards as us. They don't have anything like this we have. Well, we played this team, Greenville. They looked just like us. They were fast, quick, athletic. They had a girl that was signed with UNC, but she decommitted and went to Georgia Tech. They was loaded. I said, oh, man, this is going to be, you know, I'm nervous. Then we had to travel up there because that's what the high school league rules had it on the bracket fell. So we went up there and we played this team. They had a home crowd, like I never really seen for a girls program. I never seen a girls team that have a crowd to pull this way. They had fans in the bleachers behind the goal. They were yelling all this other stuff. And so this is our first really hostile environment where we felt like we playing a team so they jumped out to an early lead. And in that, my star player, you know, wanted to do so bad, had a breakdown. So I had to sit down. So I had to sit her down. So while she was sitting down, I was depending on my bench players. On my bench players, you know, not really bench players, but my other players to take the load. And this one girl who struggled, you know, the whole year, I had to I played her, attitude problems or anything like that, had to sit her down. She would come back to me and say, man, why you sitting him down? I'm the next Carmelo Anthony. I said, you play more like Dennis Rodman because you can lead the state in rebounding. But she wanted to play like Carmelo, shooting threes, fall-aways, all this other stuff, and things of that nature. So I had to sit her down and say, you're going to play the way I want you to play, or you don't want to play where I want you to play. And halfway through that, she finally got it. She came to me and said, Coach, I understand. I started watching documentary on Dennis Rodman. I said, Dennis Rodman's a surefire Hall of Famer. Melo might not make it a Hall of Fame. You know, he's a very good player, but I just broke it down like that. So, you know, study Dennis Rodman more. So she came back and I think about 2 games before the playoffs started, she went averaging from like 6 rebounds a game to about 18 rebounds a game. So we go into playoff, and so, you know, she's playing a lot now. So we go into playoffs, so I had to sit my star player down. She goes in there, and she just getting every rebound we can possibly get. And then my other guard, my second player, who averaged by 12, scored 12 in the first quarter and scored 10 in the second, or 8 in the second quarter. So we had a scoring and the rebounding, but we still down at halftime. Go in there, star player got her emotions together. The second half, I never seen nothing like that. That girl was hitting shots from the white line. She was driving to the and ones. She was in the crowd. We cut the lead down. She hit a 3 to tie it up with like 10 seconds left. I mean, like 10 seconds with like a minute left in the game. I never seen, and this is when I realized, okay, you know, everybody's not built the same. I've been around a lot of girls basketball. I never really seen or been a part of where I seen Ivory Latta. I never really seen or been a part of where a girl elevated her game in the middle of the game and just couldn't do anything wrong. She took her game to another level and sitting there part of it. And I'm coaching, changing them defense, changing them offense, calling different plays and doing all this things. I thought I'm doing anything. all I really doing was make a bunch of noise because this girl had the game under control. And then, and then when the game was over, you think, oh yeah, we won, we going to the locker room and stuff like this. And the coach from the other team and some of the parents from the other team came in our locker room and had to shake her hand because they'd never seen a performance like that before either. They came in and said, man, that was unbelievable what you did. I mean, this girl was hitting, I mean, like 2 steps away from the half-court line shooting threes. We down by 3. Coming down there, getting the and ones on their bigs and driving and taking 2 or 3 people at the same time to the rim. And, and before then, she had some good moves, but I never seen nothing like this before. And I'm always remembering that game because if she didn't do that, we'll never win that game. And that game will always stick with me because I saw someone, I've been a part of someone where I seen it on TV. When I played ball, I felt like I did that a couple of times, but I've never been a part of coaching someone where they actually elevated the game. Wherever we needed a defensive stop, she made a stop. We needed a rebound, she got a rebound. We needed 3 points, she got 3 points. We needed any kind of bucket, she got the bucket. And then she hit the clinching free throws with 7 seconds left in the game to win the game for us. And I just never been a part of that. And that game always remember me because it was just, we should have lost that game until she did what she did. But she gave her the opportunity to do what she did was her teammates holding the fort down until she get her energy, her nerves back under her. Because we never had a girls game where they were standing room only and they standing behind the bleachers yelling and trying to distract you from shooting your free throws. You never had that. We never been in an environment where everybody on the team was just as fast as us. Or we never been in an environment, they had a player, our thing is like, we have 5 guards. Y'all got 1. Our 5 guards can beat your 1 guard. We ran a situation where they had 5 guards. Never went in a situation where we could jump higher than you. Well, they can jump just as high as us can. We just need someone to push us over their level, and she did that. And that was very exciting to do. And when we walked out the game to see the AD there, see the principal there, and see all our fans there to travel all the way from Columbia to Greenville. I mean, from that, I will always, to my dying days, I'm always remember that game.
I'll tell you, Chris, too, that environment at Greenville that Terrence is describing, that gym is very unique, and in my experience, at least in South Carolina, that has bleachers on both sides of the gym, but then, like he's referencing, the bleachers that are right behind that basket, and they put their students there, and it's really humorous. They put those like I guess they're stanchions, but like they do it at movie theaters in front of that bleacher, and it's like, if they wanted to rush the floor, they would just run right through that thing like it was nothing. But It's just kind of funny, like these just hundreds of kids going crazy, and then this tiny little stanchion right in front of them to keep them there. But it is as fun an environment at Greenville High School, and is really right in downtown Greenville, which is a beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful setting as you'll ever find in South Carolina. To go up there and win on the road like that, super exciting.
That sounds like a tremendous game. Now, did you have a real AD? Was that Coach Gordon, the AD?
Nah, that was Coach Rose. That was gave us the opportunity to do that. He don't miss the opportunity to drop some of his nuggets to my girls too. So that helps a whole lot too.
Just quickly, Brian, before I get to the question I have for Terrence, we have a gym like that up here, and we talked about the school a couple days, a little while ago, when we talked to Coach Van Saters. The team that he beat in his greatest game, Ramapo High School, who I told you is one of they have that. They have the bleachers behind the one basket, and that's where their students sit. It's the same thing. It's just like their students are back there. It's crazy. It's such a unique environment that you don't normally see in high school. Coach, just talk a little bit more about you sitting that girl down. You said she was kind of having some emotional issues. Was this something that happened to her before, and what led her to come out of that? Was it something you or one of your assistants talked to her about at halftime, or she just had to work through it herself?
It's it was something that, as young people, if you love the game, and I can relate to her, something like this. When you love the game and when you love competition, the one thing you don't like is to lose, and that's the thing, and that's the difference between a lot of good athletes. Some athletes is okay with losing. Some athletes are okay with wherever the result shows up. But some athletes is a deep down desire not to lose, and they'll do whatever it takes to win the game. And so she was one of those unique athletes that if she had a bad game, she'll call me in the middle of the night and say, man, I need to go shoot. 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 I just can't sleep. And guess I go shoot. I said, school closed. You can't go shoot now. So just meet me in the morning. Or she'll come in there and say, Saturday, call me up and say, let's go shoot. Now I say, okay, we go shoot. She just had those things that she just always wants to win. And it's not want to win, and she would work hard to win it. And so sometimes that boils over onto, where you teeter on the line of I don't know, it's insanity. It's like you'll drive everybody crazy because, man, we only down one, but we can play better. We can play better. You know what I'm saying? They can understand where she was coming from. So a lot of times when you're a young person, you don't know what to do with all that energy. You don't know what to do when you want to win so bad and your body's not letting you do it. You're not making shots. You're trying too hard. You're squeezing the ball too tight. You're missing layups that you normally make. You're shooting the air balls that you normally hit. Why are you so intense? And that's when all the emotion comes in at one time. When all the emotion comes in, it's like, oh, we're about to lose. I'm not playing well. It's my fault because, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So I told her, and when she came to the sideline, I said, what I told her is you have to get yourself together and let the game come to you and don't put so much pressure on yourself. So, she went over there, my assistant coaches, tried to console her. She didn't want to hear it, so she sat at the end of the bench. And, and this was another thing, I didn't think about this. She went over there, cried a couple of tears. When she cried those tears out, she came to me and said, Coach, I'm ready. Or at halftime, she came to me and said, Coach, I'm ready. I won't let you down. And that's what it is. So it was a combination of the year of working with her and dealing with the attitude or dealing with how to control that fire. I know, I don't know where I heard this. I think it was on Rocket or something like that. It's like fear or something like that. It's like fire. If you can control it, you can warm your food. You can do a lot of amazing things with fire. You can warm your house. You can warm your food. You can cook your food. You can do a lot of things. But if you can't control it, it becomes very dangerous. It burns down everything you touch. It becomes wildfire. And we had conversation all year long about controlling that fire. You can't let that fire control you. You have to control that fire. And when you control that fire, you can do amazing things. And that night, she controlled that fire, and all the things that she'd been working for came through on that night.
So you've got an innate gift at knowing, in this case, in this verbiage here, when that fire is too hot and when that fire needs a little bit of stoking, And so what do you attribute your skill at being you're so good at knowing people, knowing what people need? How has that skill developed over your career, and what do you think has contributed that to that for you?
I think the main thing is growing up. I talk kind of funny. I got a lisp. I got a thick tongue. So growing up, I didn't really talk a whole lot. I just watch people. I just watch people how they interact. I watch people how they did things. I always loved basketball, and so I watch. If any story was by anybody. Isaiah Thomas, his story growing up in Chicago. Michael Jordan, his story growing up in Wilmington, Magic Johnson, his story growing up in Michigan, and all those things. So I'll listen to all those things, and then you go in your neighborhoods and you go into your parks and you go into your family gatherings or your friend gatherings. You sit back and see how people interact and stuff like that. And it's just a true story right here. It's like when I was growing up, you could not step on anybody's shoes. That is a cardinal sin. So you grow up the kind of toughness, where anytime that something goes the way, you have to fight about it. I never felt comfortable with that because I feel like, people, at the end of the day, wants the best for them, but they don't really want to hurt people. It's just in situations again, and that's what happens a lot of times. So one day in college, I went to a fraternity party. I went to a party with my teammates, and I stepped on somebody's shoe. And I looked around ready to, okay, what we about to do? And he looked at me and said, man, you want to have some fun? And I think, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all the things that, okay, there's another side to this, it came to fruition that day. And it's like, okay, you know, what I was feeling about people in general do want to help people. You know, like with the crisis going around now. If you ask somebody if they want to hurt someone or they will help, you'll find 90% of people want to help. And that's when I find. So I learned to look at different ways. Because one way is like, man, I don't want to fight you, but I don't know anything else. So my job is, okay, let me look at, there is another way. Oh, I want to do it this way, but there's another way else. So it was I say it was just me, just first 14 years or 15 years of my life, just looking at people, you know, because I was afraid to talk. And so I just looked at people and realized that in general, people are good people.
That's a great answer, man. That's unbelievable. That's really informative. Like, and I think Brian tapped into it, that you really obviously have a great read on your girls that you coach, and that's why you've had so much success. Coach, we like to wrap it up here with a little bit of a fun question.
Okay.
So you've been there 14 years. So if I asked a girl that played for you in 2009 and I asked a girl who played for you this year, what would they say is the one thing Coach Gibson says all the time? And again, it could be a coaching point. It could be something funny, something you say in practice, something you say in the games. They're like, oh, Coach Gibson always says this.
It's not really one thing. As you can see tonight, they always say, everyone says this, long speeches. Long speeches. I just give long speeches. Everybody, you know, they come in and they say, Coach Gibson gave you one of those long speeches. Yep. Every time we have our alumni comes down, the first thing they ever talk about is my long speeches. But I'm about to give another long speech. But the great thing about it is when they all said it, they always ended with, you should listen, because you don't know what he's saying now. It makes a lot more sense once you leave high school. And so, you know, and that's gratification, because, you know, my main thing is to get you thinking out of high school. Because high school is, as we know it, you know, just yesterday you was in 9th grade. You remember your first day walking across campus. Now we old men, you know. we old men. It's like talking to someone that says, you know, you have to take care of the elderly. And I look at, man, I'm old. I didn't realize I was old. I asked somebody who I'm playing a song by Outkast, and they look at me and say, oh man, you like old school. I ain't think Outkast was old school, but yeah, they're old school. So, you know, and my main thing is time flies. So don't spend your whole 4 years trying to fit your whole life in that whole 4 years, because after 4 years, you got 50, 60 more years of living. So it feels good when they say, yeah, you give a long talker, but please listen to them.
Well, I can certainly echo that. Yeah, I love you, and you love to talk, and you always have great things to say. And you're walking through the gym, whether it's the main gym or the small gym at Ridgeview, and it's pretty customary at times to see those girls on the baseline, and may not be running. They're just listening. And it's just it's Coach Gibson giving some wisdom and telling them, and it's really true. Like, I know we're laughing and having a good time, but through your journey and even going back to appreciate what you share about being a kid, like you've lived some incredible experiences from Colombia to California to Europe to South America, you name it, and now you're back here and being able to pour into kids at Ridgeview. It's just it's really a lot of fun to watch. And you know, we can't thank you enough for coming on the show. We know you're active on Twitter at RV_girls hoops on Twitter. He's a great follow. And you never know, he might post a picture of what he's cooking here during this time of the world. But Coach, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been great to have you.
Man, thank you. But Coach Rose, I got one thing to say.
Yeah, what you got?
It's been great. It's been great working for you. It's been a great thing. But I just love your sense of humor. I just, you know what I'm saying? You know, and I just want to say that, you know, a lot of times, you know, you might not hear enough or anything like this and things, but your imagination is the reason why Ridgeview is the way it is now. One of the best, you know, when I first got to Ridgeview, we was not where we are now. Everywhere we go, I you know, like with the quarantine thing, I put my Ridgeview shirt on, I hear nothing but great things about our athletic programs in our school. And I attribute all, you know, a great deal to you. A great deal to you and Dr. Mack, you know, and especially you with your imagination with the bowl bag, which just all the positive things. I don't know if you know that as much, but all the things that you're involved with at Ridgeview and all, it does well. You know, I always say I bleed blue and gold because I'm from Keenan. There's more kids right now that bleed purple and silver, or purple and black now than any other school in there. I think that always talks to you where you got these, just all this podcast, bow bash, everything. So I really like to say, just great.
Well, Terrence, I appreciate it. And I tell you, it's a pleasure to work with you. And you're right. You mentioned Dr. Mack, Brandon Ross, our whole district, our coaching staff, our entire coaching staff. I wrote about this a few weeks ago. Just, it's a dream job. And I know Chris gets to do it up in New Jersey. You get to do it here in Columbia with us here. And it's just what a pleasure it is to, in this case, be around basketball, but for all of our sports to be able to coach and to pour into kids and to help them grow, put them in positions that are going to challenge them for where they're going to fail. Like, all right, let's get up and do it over again. And to watch them just grow into responsible young men and women through sports. I mean, like, what else is there? Like, what a fantastic job. Exactly. But I really do appreciate your words of encouragement, and it's always great to hear nice things. And again, just can't thank you enough for being on here and sharing everything you shared. It's been a great journey with you here the last 45 minutes or so. And with that, for my co-host Chris de Blasio, I am Brian Rosefield, and thank you for listening to this episode of The Greatest Games.